Okay, good morning, students. So today I'm going to start a new prose lesson, and the name of the lesson is A Truly Beautiful Mind. Okay, yes. So, like before, we are going to do first the first section, that is, before you read section, I told you how important this section is because this section will give you some idea about what the what is a story is all about. Okay, yes. So the we are going to read the first questions. Okay, yes. Who do you think of when you hear the word genius? Who is a genius? What qualities do you think a genius has? Okay, yes. So you tell me the meaning of genius. Who is a genius? Okay, genius is a person who has got extraordinary intelligence. You see? Okay, yes. So when you think of what should I say, the word genius, uh, we normally get what should I say, Albert Einstein in your mind. You got it? Albert Einstein is regarded as genius. He is also the synonymous of the word genius because he's very intelligent. Okay? Yes, now you got some idea about what the lesson is about. Well, the lesson is about the great scientist Albert Einstein, who also got the Nobel Prize for Physics. You got it? Okay, you also remember his famous formula E is equal to mc square and his theory of relativity. Okay, now all these we will learn in this what do you say, chapter. Okay, a truly beautiful mind. Okay, so let us go through the paragraphs. Okay, now Albert Einstein, he was born on 14th March 1879. He was born on 14th March 1879. You were not born. I was also not born. You got it? So he was born in a German city called Ulm. Okay? Yes. So that was the name of the city where he was born in Germany. Okay? So when he was born, there was no indication that this small boy would one day become one of the greatest scientists in this world. So there was no indication at all that he would one day become a great person. You got it? Okay, yes. But on the contrary, instead of what should I say, seeing some greatness in him, his mother thought Albert was a freak. You know what is a freak? So, freak is a person who is unusual and doesn't behave, look, or think like others. You got it? So, not only that, he had got a large hat. Okay, so that is how Albert Einstein looked when he was born. Okay, yes. So let us move on. At the age of 2.5, at the age of 2.5, normally all the children they start talking. You got it? But in Einstein case, he still wasn't talking. He was not talking. Okay, even at the age of 2.5 years old. But finally, he did learn to speak. He did learn to speak. But he uttered everything twice. Utter means spoke. Okay. He uttered everything twice. You got it? Okay, yes. So twice. And Einstein did not know, he did not know what to do with other children. So normally children, they play with one another. So Albert Einstein, he did not know what to do with other children. So his playmates, they were not happy with him, and so they called him Brother Boring. You got it? So he seemed to be very boring because he did not know. Okay, so the youngster, so that means Albert Einstein, he played by himself. So he was all alone. You got it? So that great man, the scientist, he was like this when he was small. Okay, yes. Now, if you look at this blue box, you will find one small incident about this great person, Albert Einstein. We know that Albert Einstein was a late talker. He did not start talking when he was small. Gradually, he started talking. So obviously, his parents, they were very worried. Everybody would worry if their children did not speak like other children. You got it? So during a dinner time, or supper means the last meal of a day. So during that time, everybody were on, what should I say, table, having their dinner. And then suddenly what happened? Albert Einstein, he broke his silence. So he did not talk before, but suddenly he just broke his silence. And what did he say? He said, the soup is too hot. Okay, so obviously the parents were greatly relieved. They were very happy to see their child saying something, isn't it, for the first time. And then the parents asked him why he had never said a word before. So they asked him, and let us look at what Albert Einstein said. He said, because up to now everything was in order. You see, so this is how Albert Einstein gave the answer. You got it? So there is lots and lots of meaning. He was very smart. You got it? Okay, yes. Now shall we move? Okay. Yes. Now, when Albert Einstein was small, he loved mechanical toys. Okay, when we were small kid, we used to love different things. So Albert Einstein loved mechanical toys. I'm sure some of you also loved mechanical toys when we were small. You got it? So one day his sister was born. His sister's name was Maja. So when she was born, let us see what Albert Einstein said. Albert Einstein was very happy and he said, fine, but where are her wheels? So you see, the human beings, they don't have any wheels. The machines, they have wheels. You got it? So by looking at her newborn sister, he said, where are her wheels? So that means he was saying, where are her feet? You got it? So that is just a small, what should I say, anecdote. Okay, now let us talk about his school life. So when he was school, his headmaster, let us see what the headmaster said. The headmaster told Albert Einstein's father that Albert Einstein would never make a success. So that means Albert would never become a successful in his life, no matter what kind of profession he takes. You got it? So you see, that was a very negative, which was a remark that came from his headmaster. You got it? So as a parent, you would be very sad if you hear such kind of remark. Okay? Yes. And now Albert Einstein's mother wanted him to learn how to play violin. You know, violin instrument, the string instrument. So mother wanted him to learn how to play violin, and so at the age of 6, Albert Einstein began to learn how to play violin, and later, what should I say, he became a gifted amateur violinist. Okay, yes. So if you look at the word amateur, what do you mean by amateur? So amateur is a person who does something for their personal enjoyment. For example, the football. There are so many football players. Some people, they play football as a profession to earn their livelihood. So they are not amateur. They are professionals. Okay. But on the other hand, there are people who play football just for their enjoyment, just as their hobby. So these people are called amateur. So Albert Einstein, he played violin as an amateur. You got it? So he got the skill and he was able to maintain that skill throughout his life. You got it? Okay, yes. Now, since Albert Einstein, which is he played violin, it doesn't mean that he used to neglect his studies. So that's why Albert Einstein was not a bad people. So bad people means student. You got it? So Albert Einstein went to school in Munich, and because Albert Einstein family had moved to that Munich when he was just 15 months old. Remember, when he was just 15 months old, the family moved to Munich. Okay, so Albert Einstein went to the high school in Munich. He also scored good marks in almost all the subjects, not one subject, not two subjects, but almost all the subjects. You see? Okay, you must be also doing good in all the subjects. You got it? Okay. So, but there was one problem. What was the problem? Albert Einstein, he hated the school's regimentation, school's regimentation. The school where he was going, that school, there were lots and lots of, what should I say, restriction and discipline and order like this. So he did not like the regimentation of a school. Okay, yes, because he was smart. Okay, yes. So that's why he used to clash with his teacher all the time. Okay, every now and then he used to have clash with the teacher. So at the age of 15, Einstein, he felt stifled. Okay, so stifled means you kind of suffocated. Okay, when you were small, and if somebody puts lots and lots of restriction and you don't get much freedom, you kind of feel stifled. So the same thing, Albert Einstein also felt stifled in his school. Okay, so finally, what did he do? He left the school. He just left the school, not for 1 day or 2 day, for months, but he left the school for good. So the phrase for good is permanently. So he left the school permanently. Did you understand? Okay, yes. The previous year, okay, a year ahead, a year before that, Albert's parent had moved to Milan. Milan, it's in Italy, but Albert was left with his relatives. You got it? Okay, yes. So Albert wanted to, what should I say, join other school. So there was obviously some kind of discussion. Okay. Now after having lots and lots of, prolonged discussion, long discussion, Albert Einstein got his wish fulfilled. You got it? So what was his wish? What was Einstein's wish? His wish was to continue. You see, he wanted to continue. He wanted to continue his education not in Munich but in German speaking Switzerland. You got it? So a part of Switzerland where German is spoken. You got it? So that city was much more liberal than Munich. Munich, he did not like the school regimentation. There was lots and lots of strict and was a discipline. So this was much more better. So it was more liberal. Liberal means more open. You got it? Okay. And Albert Einstein, pattern number 6, he was highly gifted in mathematics. He was highly gifted in mathematics. He was very good. Okay. Oh, yes. And then he was also interested in physics. He was also interested in physics. And after finishing his school, he decided to study. Now, after finishing his study, he decided to study at the university in Zurich. He wanted to study in a university in Zurich. Okay, yes. So when he started studying in Zurich, it was not only the science that appealed to him. Okay, yes, that he was interested. He was interested in not only science, but there are other things. You got it? So let us come to know, which will I say later. We will come to know about this later. And this dashing young man, you see. So Albert Einstein was very handsome. So what do you think? Do you think he is handsome? Okay, yes, dashing. And the walrus mustache. So look at his mustache. You got it? Oh, so mustache is, which a walrus mustache is a kind of mustache which is very bushy and thick. You got it? Okay, yes. Okay, let us move forward. Yes. So when he was in the University of Zurich, you got it? Okay. So let us see what happens. He developed a special interest. You see, he developed a special interest in a fellow student. Who was that fellow student? There was a girl. What was the name of that girl? It was Mileva Maric. There was one girl called Mileva Maric who was also studying in University of Zurich, and she was Serb, a young Serb. Serb means the person who came from Serbia. So she had come from Serbia to Switzerland because in Europe during that time there were very few universities where women could get degrees. Only the male, they used to get degree, but there were very few universities where women used to get degrees. So this university was one of those universities. So she came to Switzerland. You got it? So Einstein saw in her an ally. So ally means friendship. Okay? Yes. Why? Because there was one similar character between them. So that was they were against the Philistine. So Philistines are people who normally, what should I say, don't like arts, literature, or music like this. So they were totally against these people. Okay. Now, who were some of these people? There were some people in his family and the people in the university. Some of them, they were also Philistine because they don't consider arts, literature, or music. What should I say? They have no good idea about these things. So Einstein and what should I say, Malibu were totally against. So that was the similarity they share, and they develop a friendship. And not only friendship, they also fell in love. You got it? Einstein fell in love with Miliva Maric, who had come from Serbia to Switzerland. You got it? So during those times, we don't have any mobiles, okay, WhatsApp, Insta. So normally the boys and girls, they share letters. Okay, when we were small, we did not have mobile, so we used to uh, send letters. So letter was the only communication. You got it? And there were some letters still survived. Okay, so you see, Einstein used to send letters to Miliva Maric. They used to exchange. Okay, yes. So since Einstein was very good in science, okay, so he used to mix science with some kind of love, tenderness. You got it? So there is one sample here. Einstein wrote, "How happy and proud I shall be when we both means Miller and Einstein have brought our work on relativity." So they were working on some project, the relativity, okay, to a victorious conclusion. Victorious means, what should I say, win, okay, good, okay, and the conclusion was successful. So during that time, I would be very happy and proud. Now, such was the letter, okay, yes. So that was the love between Einstein and Milva Maric, okay, yes. Okay, now let us say in 1900, Albert Einstein was at the age of 21. Okay, he graduated from his university. Now, at the age of 21, Albert graduated from his university, but he was unemployed, so he did not get any work. So during that time, in the meantime, he worked. He worked as a teaching assistant. You got it? Okay. And so he gave private lessons. And then in 1902, he finally got a secure job. So, a good job. Okay. So it was a technical expert in a patent office in Bern. Okay, there was one office. Okay, patent. Patent means a document which gives the rights of an invention to an inventor. So if you what should I say, come up with one new invention, you have to apply, what should I say, patent, a kind of document which gives you the permission to start that, what should I say, business. And nobody would be allowed to, what should I say, copy that thing. So that important document is patent. You got it? So in Bern, and what was his main work? His main work was to assess other people's invention. So there were so many inventions applying for that patent, that important document. So his duty was to assess, to study, okay, all this invention, whether it was true or not, successful or not, all these things. And after that, they will be issued patent, that important document. So that was his work. Okay, now while he was working there, he was also developing his own ideas in secret. You see, he was secretly working on his own project. You got it? And he had jokingly said, okay, what did he say? He said that his desk drawer, okay, that the drawer, the desk on which we work, okay, in that office is which is called, he referred to that desk drawer as the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. Okay, so bureau means the office, or way all his theories on physics were developed and what should I say, kept. Okay, so that is what he said. You got it? He was secretly working on his own project. You see? Okay, yes. And now finally in 1905, okay, one of the famous papers. So paper means not just an ordinary paper, so a research paper like this. Okay, what should I say, his special theory on relativity. You got it? Okay, he was able to produce that. According to this, it says time and distance are not absolute. So time and distance, which really they are not always the same. It depends on some other factors. You got it? So absolute means measured in itself, not in relation to anything. Okay, it relates to other things. You got it? So in layman term, what does it say? It says, you see, two perfectly accurate clocks. So if there are two clocks, same time, okay, actually these two clocks should be showing the same time, isn't it? But he says this will not continue to show the same time. They will have a different time. You got it? If they come together again after a journey, if one of the clock had gone for some journey, which are moving very fast, then there will be difference in the time. So that is what the special theory of relativity is all about. You got it? So from this, after this, the world's famous formula, this formula, mathematical formula, it's very famous, Einstein is known for this. What was that formula? E is equal to mc square. You have heard this, okay? You get some more idea about this formula from your science teacher. So where E stands for energy, m stands for mass, and c stands for the speed of light in a vacuum. You got it? So in order to understand the relativity, we have got one example given by Albert Einstein, which is easy. You can easily comprehend this. Okay. For example, when you sit with a nice girl, one beautiful girl, for 2 hours, it seems like 2 minutes. Okay, I'm sure you have experienced that thing. You got it, 2 hours, but you feel it like a 2 minutes. Okay, yes. But on the other hand, when you sit on a hot stove, okay, hot stove, it's burning, okay, even if you stay there for 2 minutes, it seems like 2 hours. You got it? So that is what relativity is all about. Did you understand? Okay, yes. Okay, now while Einstein was solving most difficult problem, in physics, now he was working on the physics, different problems, his private life was unraveling. His private life was unraveling, means starting to fall. Albert had wanted to marry Mileva, so he wanted to marry the girl after finishing his studies. But there was one problem. What was the problem? His mother. His mother was totally against it. She did not like Einstein to marry. Why? Because first she thought Mileva was 3 years older than Albert Einstein. So that means she was too old for him. And secondly, Mileva was very intelligent, she was very smart, just like Albert Einstein. So she did not like this. So she said, she is a book like you. So that means she told Albert that Mileva was just like him. You got it? So because of that, Albert Einstein had to put off his wedding. So he cancelled his wedding. You got it? But luckily, in 1903, in January month, okay, in the month of January, they two finally married. They married. You got it? They married, and how many sons they had? They had 2 sons. You got it? But their marriage was, which are not successful because their marriage became weak. Okay, the bond became very weak. So at the same time, Mileva, who was one very intelligent, you got it? Okay, she started losing her intellectual ambition because she had now become a housewife. You got it? Not only that, she also became unhappy. And they used to have a constant fighting. Okay, they used to have a constant fighting over so many things. And then finally the couple, they divorced. They got divorced in which year? In 1919. They married in 1903 and they got divorced in 1919. Okay, but after that Einstein remarried. Einstein married again, and this time he married his cousin. What was his cousin's name? Elsa. Okay, in the same year, in 1919, Einstein married his cousin Elsa. So let us see how their life is, Elsa and Einstein. Did you understand so far? Okay, yes. And now Einstein new personal chapter. So new personal chapter coincided. So the new chapter means he just married another girl. You got it? Okay. So that coincided. So two things, two incidents happened at the same time. You got it? So when Einstein married Elsa, he started becoming famous in the world. Okay. Yes. So in 1915 he had published his general theory of relativity. He had published one general theory of relativity. We have already done this. Okay. And what was this theory about? This theory was about gravity. You know, gravity, you must have learned in your science, Earth's gravity, the force that pulls everything towards the Earth. Okay. Yes. So Einstein, what did he do? He had already correctly calculated in advance, okay, in advance, okay, the extent to which the light from the fixed stars. So the stars we used to, there are some lights coming from the stars. So he had already calculated in advance beforehand, which they say, the how the light from the stars would be deflected. So deflected means reflect, change the direction, okay, through the sun's gravitational field. He had already calculated that, and so whatever he had calculated, it came out to be accurate, because in 1919 there was an eclipse of sun. You got it? And this proved that his which is a calculation was very accurate. You got it? He had spoken about this much more in advance. You got it? So that's why the newspaper proclaimed. So proclaim means declared his work as a scientific revolution. You got it? Revolution, a new thing in the field of science that nobody had ever, what should I say, said. Okay, so scientific revolution, and because of that, Einstein received a Nobel Prize for physics. You know about Nobel Prize? The prize started by Alfred Nobel. You know? Okay. So he used to give prize for different, what should I say, fields. Okay. So he got Nobel Prize for physics in which year? In 1921. Okay. Yes. So because of this, he was showered with honors, and he used to get lots and lots of invitation from all over the world, and the press lauded him, praised him. Okay, so everything was going very good. Okay, after she married his cousin Elsa. You got it? Okay, now you know Nazi. Okay, yes, you have heard about Hitler. So the Nazi came in power in Germany in which year? In 1933. So during that time, Einstein immigrated to United States. Okay, I immigrated means moved. Okay, leave one place and settle in other country. Okay, yes. So immigrated to United States, and 5 years later, after 5 years, the discovery of nuclear fission. You have heard about nuclear. Okay, nuclear fission, nuclear bomb, atom bomb, like this. So nuclear fission was discovered in Berlin. Okay, so fission. So it's a very dangerous, Nuclear fission means division. Nuclear fusion means two things come together. So nuclear fission, Fi, means to separate, break. Okay, yes. So it was discovered in Berlin. So because of that, the American physicists, okay, the people who are physicists, they were very upset. They were in an uproar, means they were very upset. Why they were very upset? Now it would be a very dangerous discovery. You got it? Okay. So many of them had fled from fascism. So these physicists, okay, they fled the fascism, means the country which were run by dictators. Okay, yes. So they left and they came to America, just like Einstein. Okay, yes. And now they were afraid that Nazis, since nuclear fission was discovered, Nazis could build an atomic bomb. You know, atomic bomb, okay, very destructive. You got it? So they were afraid the Nazi could build. Okay, now they knew about this. Now what did they do? Let us see. Okay, at the urging of a colleague, you know, colleague means the person who works with you. You got it? So somebody had requested Einstein, okay, to write a letter to the American president. So, what should I say, the urging of a colleague, Einstein finally wrote a letter to the American president. So during that time, American president was Franklin D. Roosevelt. Okay, he wrote the letter on 2nd August 1939, you know. So 1939, the World War II starts. Okay, yes. So in the letter, he had warned the American president. What did he say? He said that a single bomb, you know, atom bomb of this type exploded. If exploded in one single pot, might very well destroy the whole pot. It has got the capacity to destroy the whole port, not only the whole port, together with the surrounding territories. So such was the power of the atomic bomb. So he won the American president. Okay, so let us see. So whatever he said, okay, it had got an effect. You got it? So what was the effect? Now the Americans, they developed the atomic bomb in secret project. They started, what should I say, developing an atomic bomb secretly in one of their projects. And you remember? Okay, so American finally dropped that atomic bomb on the two cities of Japan. Okay, two cities. What were they? They were Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay, so the Americans, they dropped the atomic bomb on these two cities in August 1945. You remember? 1945, the World War II ended. You got it? Okay, yes. So you might have heard about this atomic bomb, lots and lots of destruction. You got it? So Albert Einstein, okay, was deeply shaken. He was very, very sad to see the extent of the destruction. There were lots of huge destruction, the loss of so many things, life, property. Okay, yes. So he was deeply shaken. So what did he do? He wrote a public missive. Okay, public missive. Missive means, you see, the letter, especially long and official. Okay, long and official letter to the United Nations. You know about United Nations? Okay, he wrote a letter to United Nations. In the letter, he proposed, so he advised, he suggested the formation of world government. He suggested the formation of world government. Okay, so you remember the first letter he wrote to Roosevelt. Okay, so unlike the Roosevelt, okay, now this letter had made no impact. There was no impact of this letter. You got it? Okay, but over the next decade, Einstein, Albert Einstein got more involved in politics. You got it? He got more involved in politics, not for his personal gain, but for the sake of the world peace and democracy. You got it? Okay. Now he was involved in politics and he was totally, against fighting for the end of the arms race. He was totally against the arms race, arm building like this. You got it? So, he used his own popularity to campaign for peace. So he was campaigning for peace and democracy in the world. You got it? So he had got a good, what should I say, human character. Okay, he just not think about his individual. He was just campaigning for the world peace and democracy, and he was totally against the arms race. Okay, so that was his later age, but unfortunately, Albert Einstein, he died. When did he die? He died in 1955. At what age? At the age of 76. So he died at the age of 76. And he was celebrated. He was known all over the world, not just as a scientific genius, a great scientist, but a visionary. You see, visionary is a person who can think about the future in original and intelligent way, who think about future vision. You got it? No? And also a world citizen. So world citizen means not a citizen of not one country, but the whole citizen, the citizen of the whole country who thinks about, who works for the welfare of all the world. You see? Okay, so that was a brief story of Albert Einstein. You see, when he was small, when he was born, he was just an ordinary. He did not start talking like other children. Okay, and he became a great person. We have also, read the story of our Dr. Abdul Kalam. He was just an ordinary. He became a scientist and the president of India. And Albert Einstein, from an ordinary child to the one who got Nobel Prize for Physics. And not only that, he had become a world citizen and someone who, which we say, campaigning for world peace and democracy, and who was totally against the arms race. Okay, now these are the things. I also wish you will also become a somewhat great person like him. Okay, and one who not just think about the individual, but for the world peace and democracy. You got it? Okay, thank you.